Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. Today I will be sharing a few projects that can put old or broken laptops to good use. Laptops are technological marvels containing staggering amounts of electronics, and it would be a shame to let them go to waste. Some of the projects that I'm about to demonstrate will be very easy, requiring little to no technical skills, while others will be more complex. I will try to provide detailed explanation in either case, but if I do miss to mention something important, please feel free to submit your comments below the video. So, without further ado, project number 1, Refurbishment. Even if your laptop is old or damaged, it may be possible to repair or even upgrade it. Some laptop parts are easy to remove, while others may require almost complete disassembly to replace. The good thing about laptop components is that they usually have a barcode or some other code that you can type in your browser and search for a replacement part on the internet. Usually the memory drive and the RAM are parts that are easy to replace and upgrade. Before opening a laptop for maintenance, repairs or upgrades, always make sure to turn it off, disconnect it from the power grid and disconnect the battery if possible. On this laptop, I only need to remove 4 screws to gain access to the memory drive as well as the RAM. As you can see, there is a second unused RAM slot, which I can use to more than double the RAM of this device. I may even be able to remove the old RAM and replace it with a better model if the laptop supports it. It is important to always check if the computer can support the upgrades before they are bought, even if the interfaces seem compatible. Apart from the RAM, this old HDD could also use an upgrade. The memory drive can be upgraded not only in terms of storage capacity, but also in terms of reading and writing speed. Installing a higher capacity SSD would improve both of these characteristics at the same time. Cleaning the laptop adequately, both in terms of hardware as well as software, is important for sustained performance. Over time, dust can accumulate around or within the cooling system, causing the laptop to overheat more easily. A good cleaning may require almost full disassembly of the laptop, which makes this type of maintenance more difficult. But a good software cleanup can also go a long way, getting rid of bloatware or unused software, deleting old unused files, scanning for viruses, disabling unused startup apps, updating the operating system along with useful software, are just a few examples of actions that can speed up your computer if it has slowed down over time. Project number 2, donation. If you don't want to bother with refurbishing your old laptop, you can still give it to a family member, a friend, or donate it to a charity. Just make sure to fully erase all personal or sensitive information first. This next part of this project may be less useful to people living outside of the Netherlands, as it has to do with Dutch regulations, but please feel free to stay if you're curious. The first thing that I do before making a donation to a charity is checking if it has an UNBI status. That is not to say that organizations without an UNBI status are not legitimate, but in order to obtain an UNBI status, an organization and its members need to meet a lot of strict criteria to prove their integrity. In addition to checking for an UNBI status, it can also be helpful to search for news articles or comments of people who interacted with the charity. Once that you have identified a charity that you want to support, get familiar with their donation process and requirements. Some charities don't mind receiving damaged laptops or even just laptop components, while others require that the laptop should not be too old or with physical defects. If you are unable to erase all personal or sensitive information prior to donating the laptop, make sure to check with the charity if they can perform this service for you. Project number 3, selling second-hand laptop components. Some laptop components are model-specific and can be hard to come by when they need to be replaced, which has opened a marketplace for second-hand laptop parts. If your laptop components are intact and you are handy enough to remove them without damaging them, you may be able to sell them for a decent price. As previously mentioned, before taking a laptop apart, always make sure to turn it off, disconnect it from the power grid, and disconnect the battery if possible. Project number 4. Reusing the RAM. A famous analogy depicts the RAM of a computer as the desktop surface of a desk with drawers. The drawers are representations of the HDD or SSD of a computer, and as the analogy goes, working on a desk with a small desktop surface means slower work, as there is not enough space for multiple documents to be opened at the same time. So you need to spend more time taking documents out of the drawers and putting them back in. Having a lot of RAM means having a big desktop surface area, allowing for more information to be readily available, reducing the time spent on taking it out and putting it back in the drawers. Thus, in overly simplistic terms, increasing the RAM increases the speed of the computer. Note, however, the other part of the analogy, the drawers. Having an SSD instead of HDD means having drawers that open and close very quickly, which is another factor that influences the speed of a laptop. Although RAM has its variants, it remains one of the most standard laptop components. This means that when you get a new laptop, you may be able to upgrade it by simply adding RAM from your old laptop. Just make sure to check the compatibility first. And as previously mentioned, before opening a laptop for maintenance, repairs or upgrades, always make sure to turn it off, disconnect it from the power grid, and disconnect the battery if possible. Project number 5. Making an external HDD from an old laptop HDD. If the HDD of your laptop is intact, you can still use it to make an external HDD. One way to do this is by turning off the laptop, disconnecting it from the power grid, disconnecting the battery if possible, opening the laptop, disconnecting the HDD from the laptop, removing the metal case around it if there is one, and connecting the HDD to an HDD adapter converter with a USB, such as this one. But there is an even more elegant solution. HDD cases, such as this one, are relatively cheap. They have all the necessary electronics, allowing to connect an HDD to a computer via USB, and I must say they look pretty good. Make sure to check the interface on the back of the HDD before buying a case, as it can differ. Project number 6. Making an external CD or DVD player and recorder. It is becoming increasingly difficult to find a laptop capable of playing and recording CDs and DVDs, but if you have an older laptop with this functionality, you may be able to make an external CD or DVD player and recorder that you can connect to your new laptop via USB. The first step is to remove the optical drive from the laptop, which can be as easy as removing a screw and pulling the optical drive away. Once that you have separated the optical drive from the laptop, you need to check two things. The first one is the interface in the back, as it can differ from one model to another. The second thing that you need to check is the height of the optical drive, as this parameter can also vary. Once you know the interface type and the height of the optical drive, you may search the internet for a compatible optical drive case. This case is compatible with my optical drive, but I cannot insert it just yet. First I need to remove the original faceplate of the optical drive without causing damage, which can be quite tricky as there are several plastic hooks holding it in place. There we go. Now I need to attach the faceplate that came with the case. And I can finally plug the optical drive in. This device is now ready for use. All I need to do is plug the USB in my new laptop and I can start reading and burning CDs and DVDs. Project number 7. Making a power bank. Messing with the battery of a laptop can be very dangerous and should not be done if you don't fully understand the risks associated with it. Attempt this next project at your own risk. That being said, what this project is about is making a rechargeable power bank from the laptop battery. To do this, I first need to very carefully open the laptop battery and remove the individual lithium-ion cells. I'm wearing protective gear and I'm being very cautious not to damage or short-circuit the cells. Making a mistake here can lead to the battery bursting into flames. If you want to see what I'm talking about, please feel free to browse the abundance of internet videos showing compromised lithium-ion batteries. Now that I have separated the lithium-ion cells, I need to check their voltage in order to determine their integrity. If the voltage of a cell has dropped below 3 volts, the cell needs to be disposed of in an appropriate manner, since it has become unsafe to use. The cells that still have a voltage above 3 volts should be safe to handle, but always keep in mind that damaged or modified batteries are a potential danger. Now, an individual lithium-ion cell does not a power bank make, but there is an easy solution for that. Individual lithium-ion cell power bank cases can be purchased on the internet for cheap, and they allow the lithium-ion cell to be connected to a telephone for charging or to a power source for recharging. And there it is, one power bank ready for use. Despite it being complete, I will still exercise extra caution with it by keeping it away from flammable materials and definitely not carrying it around in my pocket, and most certainly not taking it on an airplane. Project number 8. Making a portable Bluetooth speaker. Laptop speakers can also be put to good use, and my plan for this is to make a portable Bluetooth speaker out of them. To do this, I need several additional components. First and foremost, I need a Bluetooth receiver and amplifier. For this purpose, I have ordered this MH-M38 Bluetooth amplifier, which can support 2 speakers, can be powered by a lithium-ion cell, and has a micro USB port for connection. With the Bluetooth speaker design that I have in mind, I would like to place the circuit board in the middle of the casing, which means that I will also need a male micro USB cable and a female USB-C breakout board. I figured that since I'll be moving the location of the USB port, I might as well convert it to match the rest of my gear. Next, I need a power source. I still have 5 functioning lithium-ion cells from the previous project, which was about making a power bank from an old laptop battery, and I am going to use one of the remaining cells. I can attach the wires directly to the terminals of the power cell, just like they were connected in the laptop battery, but I have decided to place the cell within a power cell holder. I'm also going to need a way to turn the Bluetooth speaker on and off, which is why I ordered this ridiculously large switch for no other reason than its aesthetics. Of course, I will also need some cables in order to connect the components together. And a case to place them all in. I have this old metal box from a face mask that I bought years ago, and I have plans to repurpose it by drilling holes in it for the electronics and spray painting it with black matte paint in order to make it look nicer. Now, the metal box just by itself may have a practical shape and size, but I want to make it even more practical by adding little feet so that it can stand upright with more stability. For this purpose, I shall be using this 25mm wide and 2mm thick aluminum strip. After all, aluminum is lightweight and easy to work with, so it's an excellent material for this project. I will be using the same aluminum strip to make hooks on the back of the Bluetooth speaker, so that I can easily attach it to my backpack, and by my estimates, the total length of the aluminum that I will be needing for this project comes to about 32 centimeters. In order to put everything together, I will need 2 M4 16mm flathead screws, 4 M4 16mm roundhead screws, 18 M4 washers, 2 M4 spring washers, 4 M4 nuts, 2 M4 self-locking nuts, heavy-duty tape, double-sided tape, double-sided foam tape, heat shrink, the tools that I will be using are ruler, caliper, printer, scissors, cable cutters, drill, angle grinder, bench grinder, imbus keys, spanner, multimeter, and soldering iron. So, let's get started. First, I need to map out the placement of the components so that I would know where to drill. Now that I have marked where the hole should be, I can proceed with cutting and drilling. First, drilling the holes for the speakers. I have selected a polka dot pattern, which I have printed and taped to the metal box to use as a guide. I am using a 1mm drill bit for the holes, and since the metal of the box is very thin, I have placed a piece of wood behind it to prevent the metal from bending as I drill. Now it's time to make a hole for the switch. I need to drill 4 holes in the back for the attachment hooks. Making a hole for the USB-C port will be tricky since it has to be elongated, but my strategy is to drill 2 separate holes and then connect them. And finally, 2 holes at the bottom for the foldable legs. I'm done drilling the box, but now it is time to cut and drill the aluminium strip. First, I need to cut 2 pieces, 13 cm long each. This will serve as the attachment hooks. Then I need to cut 2 extra pieces, 4.75 cm long each, and these will be the bottom legs. As you can see, I have printed and attached stencils to these pieces as well, so that I can smoothen their edges evenly. Now that the aluminium pieces are in the correct shape and size, I can start drilling into them. Pay attention to the conical shape of the holes in the legs. These holes will allow the screw head to fit in, leaving a flat surface on the bottom of the legs. The next step in the process is to spray paint, but first I need to tape off the parts that should remain clean. I will leave the paint to fully harden and I shall return when it's time for assembly. In the meantime, I can solder the electronics together and test if everything is working. Before I can solder the speakers, however, I need to cut off the connector and figure out which cables are positive and which are negative. Connecting the speakers correctly is important for their proper functioning, and fortunately there is an easy way to figure out the correct configuration. All I need for the test is a 9-volt battery. If, when connecting the speaker cables to the terminals of the battery, the speaker membrane goes up, the configuration is correct, which means that the positive cable of the speaker is connected to the positive terminal of the battery and the negative to the negative. It is important to perform this test quickly, as pushing the speaker membrane up for prolonged periods of time may damage the speaker. Now that I know which cable is which, I can proceed with soldering them to the Bluetooth amplifier, but I will make one small alteration to their placement. I'm going to place the left speaker on the right and the right speaker on the left. The reason for this change is that I have a specific layout in mind, and the bigger speaker would get in the way if it remains on the left. So I'm placing it on the right. The speakers are now soldered to the Bluetooth amplifier. Now I need to solder the switch. And finally, soldering the male micro USB cable and the female USB-C breakout board. Alright, so the paint is fully dried and I can finally begin the assembly. Alright, everything is connected, so it's time to see if it works. Flipping the switch to turn it on. Let's see if I can find it on my phone as an available Bluetooth device. I think this is the one.
The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
Alright, I seem to be connected. Today I'm going to show you how to secure your gloves and not lose them. If you're like me and tend to forget your gloves on the train or somewhere else, this next tip might be useful for you. You will need a pair of gloves that has something that you can attach a string to, like so, and 2 pieces of paracord. These are 8 centimeters long. Excellent, it works perfectly. Project number 9. Making a portable monitor. If the laptop screen is still functional, it is possible to make a standalone monitor out of it, and there are several ways I can go about this. The easiest and most expensive one being ordering a complete kit, which is basically a monitor without the screen. All I need to do in that scenario is to remove the screen bezel, check the model of the screen, look for a compatible kit, order it, and install the screen in it. But for this project, I plan to be a bit more creative. I'm planning to not only keep the screen within its original case, but also to use its hinges as adjustable legs. Unfortunately, there is no going around buying a control board, also known as a driver board, and the real challenge here will be how to secure it on the monitor. The purpose of the driver board is to provide an interface between the screen and the outside world or external devices. You see, this is what the interface of the screen looks like, and it cannot be used directly to power the screen or to provide it with video input. That's where the control board comes in. On one end, it has a compatible interface with the screen, and on the other, depending on the model, it can have various HDMI, VGA, USB and all other connector types. Not only that, but it also comes with a power connector, so that the monitor can have an independent power supply. And that's not even the end of it. A control board can also have buttons to adjust the monitor settings, a possibility to connect speakers, and even a remote control, turning an old laptop screen into a functional television set. This control board is compatible with this screen, and I found it by typing the screen model, followed by the words control board in my internet search engine. In principle, all I need for a functional monitor is this screen, the control board, and a 12-volt direct current power supply. But I want to make something more sophisticated, which is why I'm going to use some more parts from the laptop, and I have even ordered additional components. My plan is to make a portable monitor with an internal rechargeable power supply. Here are the parts that I will be using. One LP173WD1 screen with the metal frame and hinges still attached. One LP173WD1 compatible control board. The 4 remaining lithium-ion cells from the old laptop battery. A case to house the 4 lithium-ion cells. One lithium-ion cell charger. This one is specifically designed to charge 4 lithium-ion cells connected in series. One adjustable step-up, step-down direct current to direct current converter. And cables. Here you can see how I'm about to connect the components. Please feel free to pause the video so that you can take a good look. Now, it is well worth mentioning that due to its DIY nature and lithium-ion cells removed from an old laptop battery, This device will be a potential hazard, so I will have to use extra caution while constructing it, as well as while operating it. As you have probably already noticed, there are two extra components on the picture. These are a lithium-ion battery capacity indicator and a push switch. Both of these components are optional. The battery capacity indicator, as the name suggests, reveals the capacity of the batteries, while the push switch makes sure that the indicator is illuminated only when the switch is pressed. The reason why I reconsidered adding these components was that they would add complexity and weight to the final device without adding any real value. So, despite having them, I have decided to leave them out of the final device. Before moving on, however, I would like to add that the lithium-ion battery capacity indicator needs a tiny setting adjustment before it can be used. As you can see on the back of this component, there are 8 setting options. The battery indicator can show the capacity of up to 8 lithium-ion cells connected in series, but it needs to know exactly how many cells it is connected to. The way to let the indicator know the exact number of cells is by soldering together 2 adjacent pads after a number corresponding to the number of lithium-ion cells connected in series. In my case, that number would be 4. Now, back to connecting the components together. The step-up, step-down DC to DC converter can be adjusted via this little screw. The control board needs a 12-volt power supply, so I need to make sure that the output of the converter is 12 volts. Let's test if everything is working as expected. Alright, so it seems that the electronics are functioning as intended, but I'm far from finished. All this needs to come together in the form of a robust portable device, but as you can see, almost none of these components can fit inside the screen case together with the screen. So I need to make a hole in the screen case for the cables and attach the components on the outside. Of course, I'm not just going to leave them exposed, that would make the device vulnerable and dangerous. So I am going to cover the components with the lid that I removed from the bottom of the laptop earlier. In order to keep everything together, I will be using hex standoffs, screws, and some double-sided foam tape. But first I need to map and make the necessary holes. I am using a hand drill for hair precision. I also had to cut out holes in the foil on the back side of the screen case, on the same spots where I made holes with the drill. These holes need to be significantly bigger than the drill holes, and their purpose is to prevent a short circuit. As you can see, the foil is conductive, and so are the metal screws and standoffs that I'm using to secure the circuitry. So, if I don't prevent these parts from touching, there is a real danger of the monitor bursting into flames. The foil of the laptop lid needs to be removed for the same reason. And now it is time for assembly. The bottom bits of the hinges are too small to act as stable feet, which is why I'm using two of these flat connectors to make bigger feet. They're 8 cm in length, 1.5 cm in width, and they're made out of stainless steel. In order to secure the connectors, I'm using two of these M4 16mm round head screws and two M4 self-locking nuts. When secured, the flat connectors will be able to rotate in order to make the monitor more compact during transportation. Alright, time to test the final device. I made a mistake by placing the control board so low, making it difficult to plug an HDMI cable, but the electronics should work. Project number 10. Disposal. If all else fails and you decide to dispose of your old or damaged laptop, please keep in mind that electrical appliances should not be thrown away with the regular garbage. Places where electrical appliances can be disposed of here in the Netherlands are shops selling electrical appliances, locations with an electrical appliance collection point, or at the municipality's recycling center. So, this was all for today. I know that this was a rather long video, but at the end of it, I have all of these cool devices that I made from an old damaged laptop. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and if you like this type of content, please consider subscribing to the channel so that you may be informed when a new video becomes available. As always, thank you for watching.